Welcome to Heroes Feast. May we take your order, please? Welcome to Heroes Feast. Tell us what's your fantasy. Pirates are the special. We got gods on the side. Bastards on the daily. All you gotta do is decide. Take your time, cause we got plenty. Just 1 sec, gotta roll a d20. Eat it here or take it to go. Put your earbuds in and enjoy the show.
Hello, folks. Coming to you live or not so live. This is Emily from Heroes Feast, kind of.
And this is Carlos from Heroes Feast, also not alive, not dead, but not live.
That's all we can ask for in this day and age. And you might be asking, folks, what's on the menu, or you might not be asking because you could read what the episode description was. But we're talking about sci-fi this week. Science fiction.
Wah, wah, wah.
Someday I'll have the patience for adding actual sound effects and we can do air horns nonstop.
Oh, sweet. We're going to lose so many listeners, but it'll be worth it.
Or perhaps we'll gain some.
Oh, it's true.
So in case you missed our last episode, this podcast is not like our others in that we won't be actually playing any tabletop role-playing games. Mostly we'll just be discussing potential campaigns you could run in a tabletop game. So it's all about the hypotheticals, the potentials, the possibilities.
All that fun world building without any of the hard concrete stuff that nobody likes. I'm sure somebody likes, but not me.
Not here, not at Flavors of the Week. We poo-poo on that, but more power to you if you can. I'm very envious of that. But yeah, what defines the genre of sci-fi? Well, apparently a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that.
Some people really, I guess the defining feature was what we found because we did a little research for this episode was that, what was it again? A discovery of something new? I just watched it again. The little Novum. The video
by
Tales Foundry.
Yes.
And if you look up Tales Foundry sci-fi, you guys can watch the video too.
But yeah, they during the course of that, really a nifty video. It was fun to watch. But yeah, they defined it as, they made their own shorthand word for it, which was novum, but what it meant was what you just said that I immediately forgot.
It is new things and
new things.
How humanity, is affected by it, or how humans affect it, I guess. Either way.
I believe in the video they gave the example of like vampires being fantasy and we just accept them. We're like, yeah, okay. But then when you introduce the element of saying vampirism is caused by a bacteria or something, then you kind of ground it in reality. Was that for the Novum or was that a different exexample? Oh my God, maybe I should have rewatched the video too.
That's all right. We're going with it. I think we're going the right direction. We're getting there. I really loved that example because immediately my mind jumped to art piece I found that was like a hand slowly turning into like a werewolf paw because it had received like a viral email or something that says you've been bitten, with a small gif of like a really simple wolf face chomping down.
Oh, I love that.
That is like, that's a really cool concept. What if like curses
sounds like a Black Mirror episode I would actually want to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is the question I wanted to ask you that I was saving for this episode was, Digimon Pokemon sci-fi ? I feel like the answer is yes. But again, I think that just goes to show sci-fi is kind of hard to define clearly, but I guess most things are.
I think it's because it's got that fiction in the title, I think, and fiction fantasy alone is such a broad spectrum. You throw science into the mix and it's just like I feel like there are a couple things that are very clearly sci-fi, especially when it's like space stuff. Like you point to Star Wars and I'm pretty sure most everyone would say, yeah, that's science fiction or science fantasy or what have you. But then you point to Pokemon and people are going to be, I don't know about that.
Bet you hadn't thought about it. I guess Digimon is definitely sci-fi because that's all computers. That's in the name. It's Digimon, and it's like the discovery of like...
I played one Digimon game, so my knowledge of Digimon is it's definitely not as strong as my knowledge of Pokemon, I'll tell you that much.
I had one game, but it was like the go-kart game. I did watch the series a lot as a kid. It was one of my like favorite shows. But yeah, they're kids that find like a digital world where Digimon exists and they're able to become their trainers with digivices. The science. How
did they not get sued by Pokemon? That's such a similar
I don't know
take.
But yeah, it's I guess sci-fi can be whatever we want as long as we're going.
That's true.
I feel like we'll feel it out. We'll know when we're getting into like fantasy or horror or any of the other genres.
I mean, to be fair too, like we were saying about horror last week, sci-fi I feel like is another one that can kind of it's more the main course, so to speak, where like, like horror could be like a side dish that you serve up with anything else. But in a similar way, a lot of different like genres can go with sci-fi, like especially horror. I think horror and sci-fi can blend so
it's like
easily.
where it began with like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, the OG sci-fi queen.
Oh geez.
Mary Shelley.
Something else to think about is like and like one of the bigger sci-fi movies that defined like a lot of things was like Blade Runner. I'll be honest, it's not one of my favorite movies, but it's a really good combination of like those detective noir films and introducing it into like this whole new world and how that genre is affected by like new technologies.
That name is definitely familiar, but I do not know anything about Blade Runner either.
That's okay. It's like you'll get a lot of like big sci-fi fans, I think, that are like huge, like both sci-fi and just film people in general that really like that movie. I didn't love it, but to each their own.
Exactly, to each their own.
Speaking of like movies and stuff, what are some of your favorite sci-fi like movies or books or things like that?
I think like, again, with sci-fi being such a broad term, if you were to say what my earliest introduction to sci-fi would be, I think you could make an argument for the Maximum Ride book series by James Patterson, because it was about mutant kids.
Oh, for sure. Those books were super sci-fi.
So that's the earliest one I can recall. But then I really got into around high school because I was one of those kids who got really into Super Wholock, specifically Doctor Who. I was really into Doctor Who. I was the Doctor one year for Halloween.
That's cool.
Really liked the sci-fi. And then I also really liked Firefly was good. Never Gonna Be Not Mad That It Ended. There was like another show on Netflix that was pretty cool called Dark Matter. Dark Matters? I don't recall, but I really liked that show a lot. And it was also kind of a sci-fi futuristic-y thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably canceled as they haven't updated any new seasons in a couple years.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But fucking Netflix, But I don't know. Yeah, it's like, I feel like as I've grown older, there's a lot more media about sci-fi, especially because sci-fi and apocalyptic stuff tend to overlap a lot too. And I feel like everyone's very into the dystopian world stuff in this day and age.
Mad Max Fury Road, just saw that again and it was amazing. We saw that at the drive-in. That was really cool.
Oh, on the drive-in, that must have been lit as hell.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you think about that as sci-fi, there's no like technology. It's not space themed. It's but I would definitely call it sci-fi because it takes like the world and put it through an apocalypse, I guess, and ask the question what would become of it.
It's like a speculative fiction, but with a twist, kind of.
Yeah. Would you count? I would put Mad Max as sci-fi.
I think so.
Yeah.
Again, it's a very broad brush that you can paint with. It seems like there's a lot of things that could probably fall under that title.
I'll be honest though, when I think of sci-fi, I do think of space travel first and foremost.
Right, that does seem to be the defining trait of it. Star Trek, sci-fi, and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't think of like District 9. I don't think of like Her or like any of like those movies. I think of like what is it? Like Dune, Star Wars, like you said, Star Trek, those big space opera.
The ones where they can have big fancy battles in space and whatnot, and there's like planets exploding.
Yeah, spaceships like Ender's Game and
like that. Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect. I forgot to mention that. Classic sci-fi. Some could call it a dating sim, but that's not the point of the game. But I'm going to call it a dating sim.
I think there's a lot of games like Skyrim. There's a potential dating sim in there. Fallout 4.
Skyrim doesn't have a lot of romance. You just give them a necklace and then you're married.
That's true. Some people like a simpler, I guess. Maybe you want your love life to be simpler, So you play Skyrim, you get a necklace, and then you're married.
I mean, I'll say very similar to a Stardew Valley NPC in that if you just give me my favorite item like twice a week, I probably will fall in love with you because free stuff. Who doesn't love that? All
right. So do you think we have enough like inspiration fuel to get going? What do you think?
I don't know about you, but I feel like I want to lean towards the classic adventures in space kind of sci-fi vibe. Sci-fi classic, I guess you could maybe call it.
Yeah, that sounds like a Coke flavor, but yes. Yeah, I really want to do not necessarily like wacky space, but very what's another book that was really big? They just made a movie of it. Everybody was mad. It had like a centaur with wings. Oh shoot, I'm gonna be so mad.
That sounds rad as hell.
Hold on. Something in Time, A Gap in Time? No.
Oh, A Wrinkle in Time.
Wrinkle in Time. So that's more dimension travel, but in part of the book, spoiler warnings for like 40, 50-year-old.
We won't spoiler warning for other things, but really old shit we'll spoiler warning for.
Exactly. They like travel to different worlds where, there's beings who you really wouldn't consider unless you actually see them. Like in the book, there's a being that's like, the planet's like colorless because none of the beings have like eyes. They just use smell and stuff. So everything's like weird brownish and earthy tones.
Huh.
And all these creatures are like just really weird. I think they're like kind of humanoid, but they're covered in all these like phalange. Odd. But like,
That
I don't
sounds
know.
terrible.
Maybe not that direction then. What do you think? So we have a space setting. Do we want to have the adventurers on their own spaceship?
We could.
Or do we want to do like a Futurama game?
They could travel to your terrible phalanges planet if you want. That could be one stop they make.
That would definitely be like a session.
Because I guess it depends too. Like, do we want them to be like how it is on Firefly, where the main setting is their spaceship and then they travel to and from? I guess that's not really relegated to Firefly. Most of them do that, where there's the central base, so to speak, and then they go on adventures elsewhere.
Yeah, like Guardians of the Galaxy is like probably the most recent one. Star Trek's, they do that. Star Wars, they do that.
I do love Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess then, yeah, having the central ship and then going, but I guess, and then that raises the question too, like last week we talked about in the horror one, that was a monster of the week kind of vibe, I think is what we ended on. Yes.
Yeah, but
like,
this would be more like a planet of the week, or like, I don't know, something. We can also do like I don't know how to describe this, but like an aspect of sci-fi of the week, like one episode, one session, or a couple, maybe over a bunch of sessions. The big bad is like an AI or something who takes the place of like a lich. Somebody discovered a way to make themselves like, all powerful and eternal. So they turned themselves into a computer program.
So kind of like, what words was I going to say? That was a great question.
I can't read your mind from this distance, Otherwise, I'd be able to get it.
If only I was closer.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I going to say? Talking about a version of Monster of the Week, but not quite. Elements of Sci-Fi of the Week.
Yeah, like where we asked you, like Futurama did this really well, where each episode.
Oh, I love
was
Futurama
like,
too. I've forgotten everything of sci-fi I've ever consumed, apparently.
I know that's what happened. That's what I was worried about when I first, like, when we started this episode. I was like, I'm going to forget all the sci-fi things. So I had a bunch of tabs opened of like my favorite things to like reference.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Also, some Hayao Miyazaki works are sci-fi, just to bring up some more things. Like Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind or something.
That one fucked me up because I watched it at a very young age that I barely remembered it. So all I remembered was the very upsetting large bugs.
Oh, yeah. Those guys were neat.
And I don't know if I ever revisited it to watch it in its entirety or not.
I would revisit it. I think you would like it.
I should have, is it Ghibli or Ghibli? I'm never sure.
I like Ghibli, but do what your heart says.
Ghibli sounds like giblets, but that's why I'm never sure. Ghibli also sounds silly. The Totoro people, I should have a movie marathon and watch those.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. I would go with like a good handful of movies, but we're getting off topic. I'll send you my 3 favorite, I guess, later on.
Nice. But honestly, isn't this just...
And if you go to our Patreon, I'll show you. I will reveal.
If you want to see Carlos's secret list, give us money. I don't know why I was holding up my wrist for that. Like I was talking into some sort of wristwatch thing. That's just for me, I guess.
That's like, yeah, of course we're giving our adventurers sci-fi communicators. That's probably what your mind was at.
That's the fun thing too.
I guess we already have those, I guess. We already have smartwatches.
I was just going to say, like, the D&D setting, the quote-unquote traditional D&D setting is limited. And yes, if you're a clever DM or a non-clever DM, any DM really can find workarounds for that, like stones of sending, far speech, whatever they're called, long distance talk. But then when you're in sci-fi, it's so much easier to be like, well, their technology exists for that. And I guess there's an argument that you could say magic exists for it. But I feel like in the sci-fi realm, it's already established that, oh, we have this teleporter thing. Oh, we have this universal communicator. Oh, we have this nifty laser pistol, I guess.
I think the challenge for sci-fi is making it so that the technology is interesting and useful, but not all powerful. And that way,
no OP guns here.
Yeah, it still leaves room for the players to be creative about their problem solving. Just like an Iron Man was like, didn't have his armor. He had to figure out a way to like, get into the secret terrorists' little villa, or I don't know, like you can have like an AI like block out the entire ship's like communicators or their transporters, something like that. I don't know.
That's true.
So they still have to figure something out.
So I feel like we got a little circuitous there. Fucking words. Anyways, so they're on this ship, I guess, is the point. And
Yeah.
should the call to action then just be like they get a little ping on their communication device and it's like, we have a rogue AI, or hey, something's up with this planet, go check it. Like, I guess,
Yeah.
are they in the veins of sci-fi stuff? Are they the do-gooders who actively seek out like bad things and try to fix them, or are they just wrong place, wrong time, happen to get mixed up in the bullshit? Kind of.
I think I have two ideas for this. One is that they're on a big ship that's like lost in space, or like
Lost
crashing, or
in
like,
space.
yeah. As soon as the words left my mouth, I was like, shit, another reference.
Oh fuck, I forgot. That's the other one I really like. The fucking robot, specifically the Netflix reboot where it's just like Danger, Will Robinson. Love that.
Yeah.
That's some good shit.
But yeah, that's like, we can do, they're either like they're lost in space, or there's like a alien bacteria on the ship that they have to deal with, or like something's going wrong with like maybe it's just a very simple like transport ship that's like transporting colonists on like a very far trip. And they have to keep like all the colonists alive while dealing with whatever's going on. Or they can just be like heroes for hire, where they're just in their little space jalopy getting pings for like what's it called when there's money on somebody's head?
Bounty hunter.
Yeah, they can just be like space bounty hunters, which could also be really fun.
Space cowboys.
Yeah.
I was going to make my argument for the oh good lord. I'm not allowed to watch fun TV before doing this podcast because I literally can't focus. Hang on. Give me a second.
Yeah, no worries.
I was going to advocate for the transport people because I thought it would be funny to have it be like sci-fi long haul truckers, and that was the thing. But after I said space cowboy, I'm very invested in that concept now.
You know what? I'm very interested in space cowboys now that you've said it too. Are they space bounty hunters? Are they space deputies?
Space. I feel like space bounty hunter offers a fun opportunity for the start of the campaign, in that it could be multiple members of your party, depending on the size, all answer the same bounty. And then that's why they all kind of either team up together in a fun found family way, or begrudgingly agree to work together until they have an opportunity to betray each other. Honestly, you could even, if you wanted to get really technical with it, this could be a fun one shot where you like introduce a hidden role element where someone or multiple people are actively trying to sabotage it, so they're the one who can get the bounty. So this might not have the legs to stand on for like a very long overarching campaign, but as a fun one shot or two shots, I don't know if that's a thing. My one shots never really are one shots, but anyways.
How about this? They could already be on like a bounty team. Like each one of them brings like a different role to the ship.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Where there's like a hacker. There's the actual like, the fighter who's the person who does like all the combat stuff. There's the pilot. There's the navigator.
So it's like a group for hire, kind of, not just a single person.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then it starts off like maybe the first few sessions while they're getting a hang of things. It's all bounties, or like dealing with different issues. Maybe they have to transport like medicine every now and then. But maybe later on they're dealing with like a bigger villain who's doing, bigger, grander things. A space dragon, maybe.
What's the enemy of the cowboy?
The enemy of the cowboy.
Modernization, I guess.
Modernization. That's what I was gonna say. It's like big city living.
Doesn't get more modern than fucking sci-fi space though, so I don't know. What's the next stage of that in human development? That's a question for a different podcast, I suppose.
Yeah. I think there's so many different things you can do with it. I would like that.
I mean, it could be like not to totally rip off Firefly, but like it could be like on the outer edges of the quote unquote space frontier, and that's why there's a need for bounty hunters and lawless. I don't want to completely rewrite Firefly, but like,
I mean, you can.
It's a great idea. I love Firefly.
That's the neat part about like making games like this or thinking about them, is that there's no copyright on a couple of friends hanging out who want to do like their version of Firefly, and we can rebrand it however we want because we're not making money off of it. We're not trying to sell people this game.
Call it Lightning Bug and they'll never know.
Lightning Bug. It's the cowboy version of Firefly. I like that a lot. I think that'll be fun. Have you ever seen Cowboy Bebop?
It's on my list.
Here, can you can we put a pause on this and can you watch like a trailer or the intro or something? I feel like that'll give you the
I thought you were
vibes.
gonna say put a pause and watch the whole series, and I was like, well, that might take a while.
That's
But
yeah. And then to listeners, if you're able to watch a trailer for Cowboy Bebop right now. So yeah, how do you feel about it? About like a Cowboy Bebop Firefly type of game?
welcome to our Cowboy Bebop Firefly one-shot inspired campaign.
I mean,
No,
that's
I mean, I'm
essentially-
100% down though. I jest, but like 100% into it. I should watch Cowboy Bebop.
I feel like it's one of those things that you get through the first maybe 4 or so episodes and then you're really invested. Because I know the first episode can be a little bit slow.
Well, you know, they got to set up exposition and whatnot.
Yeah.
I have finished watching the trailer.
Did that get you pumped up?
It actually reminded me of another anime that I had just watched on well, not just watched. This was like a year or so ago, but it was called Cannon Busters. And it's a similar thing. I don't think it takes place in space, but it's a similar, I don't know why this seems to be a common thread of sci-fi Western mashups. That seems to happen a lot.
Maybe it's because it's good.
It is good.
It's like there's so many peanut butter and chocolate, candy bars and ice creams. It's because it's a good idea.
It's a good fucking idea. I mean, I know I keep saying I want to keep Wagon Age under wraps just in case we ever revisit it. But Wagon Age was going to take a sci-fi turn at one point. Like,
Wild.
I just love mashing up genres. It's so good. And Western and sci-fi go really well. I guess because it's what's the Star Trek line? Space, the final frontier. And then there was a time where fucking shitty Manifest Destiny people were like, the West is the final frontier. And I'm like, okay,
So,
well.
I want to bring up something. If I were the DM in this game, one thing I would include, which I think would be both hilarious and really cool, you're going to either love this or hate this, or a little bit of both.
I'm ready.
Would be a Voltron / Megazord type, like,
oh no,
magic spaceships. I think that would be so cool. And
I like that because then you have to force the players to have some semblance of friendliness or found family, which I am all about.
We can either take the direction where like they're magic space beings like Voltron did, or maybe they engineered the machine to work together themselves, and that way maybe like the engineer has like a bigger role to play.
We built this robot and it's powered on friendship, so you have to be nice to each other. I like that a lot.
But that wouldn't come into to the second half of the game where they're looking for a way to like beat whatever they're fighting.
Because if we revisit the original plan, I mean, let's not chain ourselves in. I guess if in theory, at any point, if we want to say fuck this and destroy the idea and start something new, we could. But if we revisit the earlier idea of it being cowboy-esque bounty hunters, I guess the question is, it could be hilarious. How do cowboy space bounty hunters get wrapped up in some sort of government program or royal family program, depending on the setting, that enables them to have this all-powerful mecha suit that they can pilot together?
Let's see. I think it would have to be a buildup of like successful deeds accomplished where they start getting like acclaim or something.
Make a name for themselves.
Yeah, even funnier, they have to steal it because they know what the problem is. They realize the government or whatever is in control doesn't know what the problem is. And they're like, hey, the only way we're going to be able to beat this, we're not going to be able to convince them to let us have it, is to steal it, which introduces like another 5 sessions.
A heist.
A heist to steal like the Gundam Megazord.
Last episode, we limited ourselves to 1, maybe 2 genres. This episode, let's see how many it's that fucking meme and just slap the top of this podcast. And we're just like, this episode can fit so many genres in it.
It's not even genre. It's just so many references.
That's
I feel
true.
like what we're doing is, what was that book that turned into a movie that was like really popular where it was like, hold on, I guess I'll have to look this up.
Such a rare occurrence.
Steven Spielberg movie, see if you can beat me to it, where there's like an AI, or not AI, there's like a artificial like universe where everybody can go to like live out. Oh, Ready Player One. There we go. I feel like that's what we're doing to this.
I've heard not good things about that one.
It's not a great story. There's a lot of issues with it, and it is very much playing to like the viewer's nostalgia in not a good way. It feels a little patronizing.
Isn't that one that fucking Adam Sandler was in it?
No, he's not he's not that.
What was that one? That was another video game one.
Oh, I know the one
with the Pac-Man.
Yeah. This is a little bit different, but there's like so many references to different like nostalgic genres like the Iron Giant, Godzilla, Chucky, like all the things like from the 80s and 90s.
I love
That
the
makes-
Iron Giant.
So do I. And
That's sci-fi.
yeah, exactly. That's the other thing. We can scrap this whole thing and just have like all the players play a bunch of middle schoolers that find like this huge robot in the middle of the woods and have to like deal with the consequences because maybe the robot's there to defend the planet, but the robot's not ready to fight.
Welcome to Iron Giant, the one shot.
It's Cobalt Big Man.
You lost me there for a second, and I thought you were still looking up the Steven Spielberg movie for a second, and I was like,
Nope.
Never heard of Cobalt Big Man, but okay. I get it now.
Yeah.
No,
Dang,
actually,
is...
I think a plot to overthrow the government is very in line with 1, Cowboys, because fuck the government, and 2, space, because fuck the government. I don't know why people are so angry about things happening in the current realm when literally we have so much media geared towards, hey, the government is bad and is lying to us. We should do something about it. Like, maybe that's not so far outside the realm of fantasy, folks. Anyways, I'll get off my little communist soapbox. But I think that's a fun idea where they are not specialized people. Well, like specialized to a point in that they can do their bounty crimes, but not specialized in that they don't know how to pilot this large Jaeger of a mech. And part of the campaign, assuming we want to stretch this out into a full-blown campaign, I guess, part of the challenge is then figuring out, okay, how do we operate this? How can we use it to destroy said government, which is problematic for a reason we have not decided on yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although I guess that raises the challenge too of how many people would you need for this campaign for it to be a reasonable machine?
I feel like you could do it with 3.
3 at the minimum.
Technically, I think you could do it with 2. It would just, you'd have to bring in like an NPC or 2 NPCs.
I suppose if you did 2, I mean, 1 could be the left half of the brain and 1 could be the right half of the brain, technically.
I mean,
you could do it that way.
We're just doing Pacific Rim now.
You guys have to find your, oh God, what's it called? Your drift partner.
Are you drift compatible?
Yeah. Welcome to our elaborate personality quiz. You have to really know your fellow game person. Here we go.
Every time you want to successfully do an action, you have to answer something personal about the player next to you.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that as a concept. Oh my God, that's good. Fuck. Also,
man.
there is an engine that you can play tabletop games out there, and I think it's called Lasers and Feelings. And obviously based on the name, it's Lasers and Feelings. And it's one of those very simplified engines where it's not like, like with D&D, it's like you have like fucking 7 different dice and there's like all these different things you can do. 7 different die? I don't know. Anyways, but with Lasers and Feelings, it's like you just have a 6-sided die, if I recall correctly. And you only have 2 stats, Lasers and Feelings. And feelings deal with, obviously, feelings. And then lasers deal with the more technical things. So it's essentially like a Kirk and Spock dynamic, basically, where it's like, the heart, emotions, conniving. Well, maybe not conniving, but like, feelings. And then lasers is like your analytical, logical side for those things. And also pew pew shooting lasers. So I feel like that could be a fun, and we got to do our own sound effects. We don't have the funds, wink, wink, nudge, nudge at sponsors, to have like a soundboard or something. But that could be, especially because hypothetically in this campaign, if you are introducing like the mechanics of having a drift compatible partner or something like that, there's a lot going on. So maybe it would behoove you to streamline it by doing a more simplified game engine like Lasers and Feelings, where there's only like 2 stats you have to roll for to do things really.
Mm-hmm. And like the fun of the game comes from developing the story, not necessarily like rolling well or having a bunch of stats.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because really in this engine you just have the 2 stats where it's lasers or feelings. And then you go and you steal a giant pilot and you try to topple the government, I suppose.
All right. Let's see. What kind of I guess is the villain in this one the government in some form? I like AIs. I think that could be like a part of it. Reference something else.
Come on, give me that pop culture reference. What else you got?
Wall-E, where the ship's pilot is the bad guy.
Honestly, I think about the way that the steering wheel says no all the time. I cannot replicate it as I do not have a deep voice, but I think about that specific way that it says no all the time. It's in the back of my head constantly. I love Wall-E. How did I forget about Wall-E too? Oh my God.
Another great sci-fi film. Are all my favorite movies sci-fi?
Is this your favorite genre?
What?
Who knows?
God dang, I thought I was a fantasy hoe. Little did I know.
I mean, it's in the name.
That's true.
Sci-fi, fantasy, science fiction, that kind of sort of.
Let's see. Yeah, I think the AI/government should be the villain. What do you think? And maybe it's not like obvious in the beginning, but later on.
Is it a thing where the actions of humans are excused because it's an AI controlling them, or is it the AI is just an extension of the shitty humans running government?
I like to think it's the second one, but because I like having people who are like, there's no excuse for them, I guess. Maybe a little bit, but not really. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't get it enough in real life, people being held accountable for their actions. So plus, because I like the trope of the sentient AI is evil, but then through the power of your humanity and your friendship and your love, you're able to make it more human, and it stops being evil and wants to be friends. That's why the fucking Lost reboot gets me so fucking emotional and just teared up, because I'm just like, he's learning to be what it means. Because not to get too emo on main, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, the core of humanity, humans are jealous and angry, and no. Humans at their core are full of love and friendship. People just want to create and craft and tell stories. It's at the very core of who we are as people. We just want to create as a family group. And I love that shit. And I love when sci-fi explores that, and when robots get to do that too. It is so important to me.
I think we just found the theme to the game. We explore love and friendship in space.
Love and friendship in space.
Love, friendship, cowboys in space.
Cowboys are full of love. Cowboys are full of love. Love is stored in the cowboy.
Perfect. I think that'll fit really well, and I really like that idea.
We've reached the tipping point where I've decided, God, I really want to play this campaign now.
Good. We're getting there. That's how we know we're getting there.
I'm invested.
Okay, now is a good time to ask then, what character would you play? Would you play Captain Kirk? Would you play a Spock? Would you play a Han Solo? There's so many different directions you can go.
Who will be the arrogant asshole of the group who doesn't give a shit?
Wait, that's all of us. You know that's the answer. It's just a shit, but it's all Han Solos, no Chewies.
That would be a fun stipulation. If we ever put in the effort to type these up as actual campaign notes for things people can do, and just a little footnote where it's please try to limit it to only one renegade asshole per group, because otherwise it's just going to be insufferable.
It's a shit, but all Spocks.
All Spocks. Oops, all Spocks. That would be so fascinating, actually, especially because that would be very antithetical to the whole humanity aspect of the campaign, in that they don't think with feelings at all, and it's completely just logical. So then you get to those oh no, do we let this one person die to save them all? But of course, with the logical ones, they'd be like, yes. There's no wallowing or being I don't know. They're just yeah, fuck them. Well, no, they wouldn't say fuck them, because that attaches emotion to it, but they would probably just be
I really like the idea of Spock saying, yeah, fuck them though. So I'm gonna
live long and fuck them. I don't know, because I know me personally, I am not good at being vulnerable and emotional. So while I would love to play the heart of the team, quote unquote, the one who's always there for the big emotional moments, or the one who does the good connections with people because their heart's on their sleeve and it's overflowing or whatever. I personally, as a human, cannot do that because I'm very emotionally constipated. So,
ooh, you need some emotional laxatives. Maybe that's what this game is. Emotional laxatives.
Picked a really bad time to drink some water there. That could have been dangerous.
Let's see. I like those characters a lot, and I like being able to do that. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure out.
Do you want to be the Han Solo asshole of the campaign?
No, I don't. I've tried being assholes in campaign, and it never works out very well.
What does that mean for Dorian, I wonder?
I know. I'm trying really hard. I'm trying my best with that one.
It's going well so far. Well, we've only done 2 sessions so far.
Yeah, it's difficult, but very satisfying because it's not my personality. And I mean, to be fair, Kylie knows this. There's a part of me that does not like people, where I work with people every day, and sometimes they're really frustrating, where they're upset with me because of something that they did. They're mad that their reward expired, and they're mad at me, and it's why? Or that they have me stay late, tell me after trying on a couple of shoes, like 30 minutes in, they tell me they forgot their card, and then spend another 15 minutes trying to decide between the shoes, and then leaving without buying anything. Now that I'm like 45 minutes like after I should have left. And
Damn.
part of me thinks that there's nothing wrong with that. The shoes are important, and you got to spend your time. I know it's expensive for some people. And another part of me is like, fuck them.
That ain't just the fucking retail experience there, though.
Yeah, but also helping people with shoes is really cool, and helping people in general is really cool.
You're a very positive person. I am very envious of that.
It's hard sometimes. I got to tell you.
Most good things are hard, it seems.
All right. Yeah, I guess I would try. I think it would be really fun to play. Dang, I always want to play like, I don't know why, but I always want to play like a younger, boyish character. But let's try to step away from that.
You miss the glorious days of youth already?
Maybe that's what I'm trying to do. At the
ripe old age of what, 24?
Yeah. You know what? I think I'll be a grizzled captain, and not necessarily an asshole, but like more of a stoic father type character. Let's go with that.
So not quite old and jaded, just old.
Just old and like a little wizened, maybe a little grumpy, but not an asshole.
That's the important part. Not an asshole.
Not an asshole.
So would he be like the team captain?
I feel like he can go a lot of different directions. I think captain, head engineer, who's always like doing maintenance on everything. It's like how like dads have that knowledge of like, oh yeah, your carburetor's too wet. You need to dry it out.
Too wet? Yeah, you clearly know a lot about cars. It'll be perfect for this part.
Yeah, so much.
But
yeah, like that kind of thing where they have like well-rounded knowledge and they're just very...
I'm very glad you've come to that conclusion now, because it has now solidified for me that who I would want to play would be the cocky, self-assured young upstart to kind of juxtapose your wise old man. I don't usually play dudes, but I would probably do a guy just because it's very easy for young men to be arrogant about their skill levels, it seems.
And you know what? Instead of my character butting heads with yours, he's just going to be very supportive. He's going to be like, you know what? We all need to make mistakes in our own time. I may not agree with your decision, but it's all part of growing up. And I'll help you.
I love it. I just pictured a scene in my head where it's just like, I'm going in, and your character's like, yes, go my son. And like run in, explosion, flying to the other side of the screen. You're like, proud of you. You did it.
Let me fix your gun really quick. You're going to need it calibrated to this setting. Here you go.
Love it. Very good. So I
feel like that would be very fun.
Do we want to live in a fantasy world where we have more than one other friend who plays D&D with us, and we can have a whole a 5? I feel like 5 is great because it's like, it's the Voltron number, I guess, where you can have a head and then the limbs.
I know you said Voltron, but I immediately thought it's the Power Ranger number. I guess Power Rangers, there's technically more. I think Power Rangers like 7 or something. Voltron's better with that.
There's a lot of
5 is a better number. Power Rangers is so good. I love it so much. I'm the hugest Power Ranger nerd.
I feel like, I don't know if I ever actually watched Power Rangers. I know I really liked the pink and yellow one, but that's because they were the girl characters. So
in the comics that they're coming, you should read the comics. I feel like you would really like them. And I think there is like a back history where like all the colors were mixed match. Like there was the Red Ranger was a woman.
Nice.
I think the Pink Ranger was this like black guy, and then there was the Blue Ranger was like a girl or something. And I don't know, it didn't feel like the colors mattered, which was really cool because it definitely felt like they did in the original.
It's very color coded.
Yeah.
But so to go with like the color codings that are so prevalent, like in Voltron and Power Rangers and stuff, he's like the hot-headed red one, basically. Is how I'm picturing it.
Neat. I guess my guy would be more of the green variety, green or yellow. I feel like yellow and Voltron's like very supportive.
I think yellow is like psychologically a calming color, or is that green? I don't remember. There's like a psychology of colors, different colors mean different things or what have you.
Yeah, I think in that case he's like, yeah, green or yellow. I would want green. I think if I were given a choice, I think I would like green.
Green tends to also tie into nature. So if you wanted him to be like the old greenhouse man, assuming they have a greenhouse on a ship.
That could be cool. Like he's also in charge of like the food on the ship or something.
I guess too, like what kind of cowboy-esque archetypes do they fit into too? Like what are their roles on the bounty team?
I guess he would be more of a blacksmith stable master in charge of keeping all the ships in like shape.
For their space horses.
Yeah, and then like their little space horses, exactly. And I'm guessing like their space horses, I would love if they each had their own like like single unit spaceship, but they had
Yes.
horse names. Like this one's Buttercup. This one's like, I don't know, what are the other horse names?
It depends if you want to do cute ranch names like Buttercup, or if you want to do weird ass racing names like Eternal Night of the. I was gonna say Spotless Mind, but I think that's a movie.
Yeah, it is.
Never mind.
Like potatoes, Seabiscuit. Yeah, so like I think that would be very fun for each of them to have like a spaceship of their own and their own stables.
Are they vaguely
like-
horse shaped, or do they just have names of horses? Maybe names of famous horses or something.
I feel like they're like single compartment space motorcycles.
Okay, yeah.
And maybe there's like horses painted onto the side, like, you know, in like World War II or fighters.
Maybe the brand of space type of motorcycle is like called a Mustang or something.
Perfect. Love it.
Excellent. A herd of Mustangs.
Yeah. What are the really big horses called?
Clydesdales? Draft horses in general, I think.
Clydesdales. Yeah. And then my character would have like, instead of like everybody else's like Mustang or like variety of like fast, like speedy horse, he would have like a Clydesdale like spaceship that could like tow the big ship if need be, but it's not very fast.
It gives up its speed for its strength, basically, stats wise.
Yeah. He's supporting everybody, not only in the strength of his arms, but the strength of his heart.
It's an important muscle, the heart. You got to work it out just like all the other muscles.
It is a muscle. You're right. Cool.
I like that. I don't know how possible this is, but it would be interesting to blend different engines together, because I'm sure there are some, as we discussed previously, we are not super well versed in a lot of engines out there because we essentially exclusively use D&D 5e, it seems. But I'm sure there are ones that are out there that are specific to like mech fights or something, or even like just even more like there's lasers and feelings, but I'm sure there's other slightly more complex space ones. And it'd be fun, like if you could, I was gonna say like Frankenstein your own kind of thing together, like, you know, pick and choose bits from each other's.
I think that would be really cool. And I think there's like an infinite number of ways that we could go about doing it, whether we wanted to be creative and figure out our own way, or like use some of the numerous resources that are out there. All right. So I think with our characters, I feel very confident in the direction that we're going with this. Like it starts off as like a team of bounty hunters that realize something's going on with like the Space Council and realize that they're the only ones that know and maybe the only ones who can fix it.
By stealing the big space mech.
So I feel like, although I would love if they stole it, I feel like that's up to the players. Like maybe they steal it. Maybe they like work a deal with the council, or like they give up somebody close to them who's like a criminal or something like that, and they have to figure out a way to save them later. There's just so many things that could happen. That's
true. I guess like
I never want to shoehorn players, I guess.
That's true. They perhaps just the only stipulation is that at some point they have to come into possession of said robot. The means by which they do so is up to the, I guess, it depends on like party composition. Like if they all are a bunch of sneak thieves, then maybe it would be really easy to steal it. But if they're all like, if it's a party full of your character, hearts of gold and just kind of beefy,
maybe they make their own thing.
Maybe they build their own mech to fight the other mech. Now that would be pretty cool.
Okay, how about this? Maybe there's each of these like big space things is like a magic item that they could choose. They can follow that direction or that like storyline, I suppose. Like maybe some players would get together and like, you know what? We know this mech that would maybe really be beneficial. Or maybe it's like a bunch of like stealthy characters who are more into that style of play. There's a new technology that's like the ultimate stealth that not only turns the ship invisible, but sends them into like a not mirror dimension, more like sci-fi than that, but like
a higher realm, a higher plane of existence.
Yeah,
the fourth dimension.
Yeah, exactly. Like it makes the whole ship two-dimensional or something crazy like that. And they decide to go after like that technology. Or maybe another player is really into just a big gun. It's just like a variety of
just a really big gun.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a third thing, but you know what I mean. There's a little bit of choice to it.
So like instead of hunting down the mech, they're just hunting down
the magic item. There's a number of magic items they could go after. It's unlikely, if not infinitely impossible, to go after more than one. But
so the mech is just one fun carrot to dangle in front of the players. There could be other things you scatter across the galaxy, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. There could be like a new power source that would like supercharge all of like their existing technology. There could be like blackmail on the council that they could go after, things like that. At least that's what comes. As much as I want them to have a Megazord Gundam thing.
I guess like, because yeah, that's like a kind of point you have to draw to where like what is shoehorning the players and then what is just being like, this is the plot, so this is what needs to happen. Like I guess that's for this campaign and all campaigns in general, really. You kind of have to find that middle of the road, so to speak.
Hojbark, I guess I don't want any spoilers, so I won't say much. But if you like listening to the first episodes and like later on, it's just Anthony works very hard to throw wrenches in the game, and it's good.
Makes you think.
It does, and it makes it very exciting and fun.
It's the unexpected, but the humorous unexpected version.
Yeah. So I guess you never really know, but I would love for the mech to be like a big option.
Because I mean that depends too, like how you frame the campaign to start. You could even say like you could set it up already saying you guys have done small group missions together. Now you're tasked with this big group. Maybe like the Resistance hires them, and that's how they get all mixed up in it. Is the Resistance hires them to Resistance steals?
Ooh,
fucking hell! The Resistance hires them to steal the mech.
Love it. That's great.
Thank you.
It's a great idea.
Took a while for me to fucking vocalize it, but I did it.
I love it.
Because then that way, like, I feel like the earlier you introduce things, players are unpredictable, so who's to fucking say? But I feel like the earlier you introduce things, the more players are willing to accept it as saying, yes, understood, that's fact.
Yeah.
And introducing new elements later on, I feel like, is where you could run the risk of rejection.
Yeah. And I think that's the issue with sci-fi in general. If you start the world with like existing technologies where the characters are already very used to it and nothing's surprising, it makes it very realistic and believable. But if you throw in something really wild at the right off the bat, it becomes a little bit what's the word? There's a specific word when like the author or the writer inserts
suspension of disbelief.
Ex machina.
Deus ex machina.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, or just like a solve all problem sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could be too, like how we were saying earlier about the robot being powered by friendship. It could be like you don't even tell the players that. Although, why would the evil government have a robot powered by friendship? You know, I love another sci-fi trope, although I don't know if it's specific to sci-fi necessarily, but where it's like in Mass Effect, the way the Mass Effect relays are these ancient alien technologies that they discovered from a long dead society of aliens. So it's just like you have this all-powerful tech, but you don't really understand how it works because you're not the one who made it. So it could be even maybe the government didn't make the giant mech robot. Maybe they just discovered it. They don't know how to work it, but they shouldn't have their hands on it. And it's the bounty hunter group of players that discover the power of friendship is what powers the robot.
And maybe it's not revealed until later on. I feel like that'd be really funny.
Because what could be really fun is like just like dropping this big mech in the players' laps and being like, have at it, and they're like, okay, I turn on the button, you're like, nothing happens, and they're like, what the fuck? And they have to like somehow figure out that you have to, I don't know, perhaps there's some sort of mechanic out there where you can reward points for teamwork or something.
I feel like it's a lot like inspiration in the game, where they do something very true to character, and it's just something that's like that's what the robot expects or something.
It could be like the not aired early episode of Dark Seas where we were on the island and you forced us to reveal deep truths about our characters, which no one will ever know because we didn't record it.
I feel like that was very good for you guys playing together, and it leaves a lot for because it's not fun when everything's explained. Mystery is important.
That's true. You got to figure shit out.
Yeah, and it just made it easier for you guys to work off each other, and also me to mess with you guys.
And isn't truly that what every DM wants to do? But yeah, then it could like, maybe it could even be like, you know, you as a DM set up lots of opportunities for the characters to have heart-to-heart moments or something while in the robot. And then when they have these like, you know, like in Critical Role when it's like, oh, we're on watch. And inevitably when characters are on watch, they always like have this deep heart-to-heart where they talk about things. And you could somehow orchestrate it so your players do that while on the mech, and then it like powers up that one specific room and they're like, oh fuck, what did we do? And then it's like trying to figure that out.
I feel like there's a way to do this indirectly too, where you can go both directions, where it's like directly powered by friendship, or that it's just an important part of the gameplay. Like with one, you can make it so that one character knows something that is key to running the ship. However, it seems not very believable, and it's up to the other characters to trust them.
Oh my god, for all our talk of sci-fi, we didn't even consider aliens.
No, I already thought about that. I figured any race that they wanted to play, it's easy just to like mold them into different alien species.
Like orc, but it's an alien orc.
Yeah, maybe that's a lazy way of doing it, I guess. What do you think? Do you think it would be funner for everybody to be human and like discovering like aliens?
Because like when you get into the realm of aliens, it's like, do you limit everyone to being a humanoid alien, or is it like four-legged aliens? Is it no-legged aliens? Like, I don't know. You could get weird with aliens.
That's true. I feel like that would also be very fun. I feel like you'd have to be careful. Like you would have to set it up that there's a way to communicate and a way for like the players to interact with each other. But as long as those guys are set and the alien's not infinitely powerful, I feel like that's all fair game. And
I kind of like the idea even of it just being like players can just come up with any old thing and like not limiting it to like there's this species of aliens and they can do this, and it's just kind of like you come up with something and you can invent your own history for it if you want, but really it's just like, like a player could show up with like, this is my race of sentient dogs and they're very similar to Earth dogs, but they developed how to talk or something. Or you could come up with something more fantastical with being like, I don't know, this is a cloud and it changes color based on what emotion it's feeling, and then that could be like your alien or something, which might provide some challenges, but hey, a good team could work around it, I'm sure.
There's in Hellboy 2, I think it is, in search of like the Golden Army or something crazy. Hellboy and the Golden Army, that's what it is. There's a German scientist who turned himself into like a cloud of mist. And in order to function and to interact in like the modern world, he created a suit that he's able to control via air pressure. And he sounds like Stephen Hawking, because I think the cloud itself is like controls like different sounds and tubings within the machine or within like the
yes, okay. I was like, I definitely have seen the second Hellboy, and I was trying to like, I was like doing a Rolodex in my head of all the characters, and I was like, who the fuck? What was I recall?
You know the one, but yeah, he controls his own like version of a spacesuit because he's like a cloud of mist.
Because I think that's like that could be a fun what's the term, trade-off almost, where it's like, yeah, you kind of railroad it by saying you need to acquire this mech, but like in exchange, hey, you can go ham on your character. Literally anything flies and we'll make it work, kind of a deal. So it's like that could be a good trade-off.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool to work with character or players one-on-one to like develop their race and like develop their characters. I also really like that aspect of D&D.
Oh yeah, character creation. Tune in next week for our flavor of the day where we discuss character creation. But so magic items, sci-fi items.
Yeah, I feel like that comes to like you can do ancient technology. You can do I don't know, like ship upgrades.
Oh, that's true. Perhaps like when they discover a new item on some planet or something, and then they're like, "Oh, can
we adapt this to the ship?" Or maybe it's like something like, yeah, this is the warp drive capacitor increaser or like maximizer. Increases the speed of your ship and its dexterity in battle.
That's the fun of sci-fi. Is you can just make up words and use them for things, really.
I think that would be my favorite part.
What? Oh, God, what's the game? Fuck, it's on my phone somewhere. Space Team, I think it's called. Maybe I deleted it. But anyways, it's a very stressful teamwork kind of game, but they do use a lot of made-up words like fibrillator. No, fibrillator's a real word? No. Fibrillator is from Jackbox.
Is that the one where everybody has like, you play like everybody plays on their phone and they're all like controlling the same ship to like do certain things? Yeah, I know that.
That one has a lot of weird made-up terms on it for what buttons you have to pull and what switches you have to do. But yeah, I feel like in this setting of sci-fi, magic items really, what is science but magic? You turn a switch and light turns on. That's magical, So
yeah, it also works the other way. What is magic but like science so complicated you can't understand?
I do like that. Again, I love the blending of things. So I love it when it's like, oh, the science is magic and the magic is science. Oh, I love that shit. That's good stuff.
Yeah, like maybe like one magic item is like instead of like concrete mechanical spacesuit, it's like a hyper futuristic energy suit that one of the players finds that's from like a forgotten alien race,
a more advanced civilization or something.
Yeah, and maybe that's where all like the tech comes from, and that's like there's a big like black market for like scavenging those things.
And then I like the idea of it, like, because like I don't want to fall into the same issues with D&D currently where it's like this is the evil race and they're all evil and no one ever has freedom of will or thought and we're going to stereotype all of them. So I don't want to run into a similar thing in this campaign where it's like for the monsters to fight, it's like this is the evil alien race, because that's just
Oh no. I
bullshit.
feel like it's better to have evil organizations like evil space pirates.
Oh my god.
Don't play my game.
Pirates and
Space
cowboys.
and pirates, space pirates, yeah.
But because then I was going to say, then in that instance, to fill that void, you introduce space pirates, which I'm all for. Let's get some Treasure Planet up in here. But,
oh my god, how did I forget Treasure Planet? Another one.
Treasure Planet is god tier. I fucking love Treasure Planet. Holy
so
shit.
Good. I want that haircut so badly. I know I wouldn't put it off, but I would love to have it. God. But the little tail thing, fucking sweet.
No time like the present, Carlos. Live your dreams.
My hair's too short. I can't do it now.
Well, hair grows. That's the cool thing.
One day.
One day. But also like we were talking about with the AIs, that's easy peasy robots, just not to infringe on potential robot rights things, but hypothetically in this world, you could kill as many robots as you want and you don't have to feel bad because they're not real people. So
yeah, I feel like that could be good. It's important not to like work with avoid certain codings, but yeah, I feel like that could work really well.
Yeah. So obviously the government will probably want their big robot mech back. They'll throw a lot of robots at you, which opens up a fun opportunity to befriend a robot and then have like the team's pet robot or friend robot, depending on what the robot looks like, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Dog shape or person shape, who's to say?
Ooh, I love it. Like a tiny dragon robot.
That'd be fun.
Like a toothless, but he's a spaceship you can get in and ride. God,
I just pictured one of those fucking what are they called? I want to say Bakugo, but that's from My Hero Academia. What were the sphere things?
Bakugan?
Was it Bakugan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm picturing one of those for like a little AI robot pet where it's just like a sphere that hovers around and then it also can transform into a Durgan.
I think that's cool. Let's do that.
So there's an NPC right there. That could be one. Obviously the government, there's probably a head or a leader or a council. I don't know. I do like the shadowy figure kind of element of it where it's like it's a faceless person.
I'm a big fan of when they do the sci-fi, like the main villain, again, to like talk about Wall-E. It's like by and large, it's like some weird, it started off as like, it starts off as like a not benevolent corporation, but just like.
No corporation is benevolent. They're all bad.
It's like, why the fuck is the corporation of like, I don't know, something weird like pens in charge of, or like known for their pens in charge of everything.
By and large is basically a Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Walmart. You're like, why is this corporation known for its like soda in charge of everything?
I saw the stupidest tweet the other day. When don't I? But it was something about letting some company that was in something else develop pharmaceuticals, and it was like, why are you letting this company do pharmaceuticals? I don't remember what it was, but it was horseshit. Anyways, capitalism, am I right?
It's like chemo, but it's made by Coca-Cola. So like all like the chemo bags have like the Coca-Cola logo on them.
You jest, but boy howdy, we're hurtling towards that future, I'm pretty sure.
God.
A nightmare. I guess this counts as sci-fi too, but I recently watched, I think it's a Hulu series called Upload, and hated it because it was very much like that, where it was not necessarily Coca-Cola sponsored chemo, but it did pull a lot of shit like that, where it's like brands doing things that brands had no business doing. And I was just like, I hate this.
Yeah. And I love that as an idea for like the villains of the game is like not necessarily the government, but it's a corporation as strong as the government.
Did you ever watch BoJack Horseman?
Yeah.
Yeah, like how like in the final season where they like had that one running gag of like they just it was almost like they were just listing corporation names, but really what they were saying is they were all one giant like conglomerate.
Yeah.
It could be something like that where it's like Walmart, Starbucks, Pepsi Cola is the fucking big bad, so to speak, who's the shadowy organization behind the government.
So hold on, hear me out. So let me see if I got this right. It's Space Cowboys versus Space Pirates, who are sponsored by the Space Corporation conglomerate as they fight against it in a spaceship mech type things powered by friendship. Because if so, I love it.
I'm glad because in my head, I'm like, oh, this is a lot. We're really doing a lot in this one. But when you explain it like that, I feel like it is more, it's a smaller pill to swallow, I feel like. Yeah. And perhaps listeners might disagree because they're listening and I'm the one creating this. So obviously I feel like I understand it, but.
It's our baby, so we're going to love it anyway.
It's It's got a lot going on, but that doesn't
Maybe
mean
it's an
we don't
ugly
love
baby,
it less.
but I like it.
I like it anyways. But yeah, I'm into it. I'm always into these ideas we come up with. We're so good at coming up with ideas.
We're great.
But yeah, I guess like unfortunately this might be the kind of campaign where the stakes are very big. So like
We can also make the stakes small. I feel like it's important to mix and match them.
that's true. Yeah, like it can't just be big stuff because humans don't have like clearly as evidenced by the fact that no one really understands what a billion is. Humans don't really have the mind for big scale stuff. So while you can say this whole planet's going to explode if you guys can't figure out how to operate this robot,
Maybe
it's
there's
hard
like,
to conceptualize that.
maybe there's like a partnership, right? That has their own like crew of NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
They're like helping along. Maybe they get vaporized by like the conglomerate space pirates.
That's true. Maybe there's like an asteroid car mechanic-esque area and they take the robot there sometimes and someone learns, you work with them? Pew pew, dead.
Yeah. And you just crush them and that makes them better players. You hurt them so they like it more.
You have to break them down so you can build them up. Love that. Not for them. That's going to suck. Or us, hypothetically. We might play this game with our characters we came up with.
It's gonna suck in a good way. But, it came out dirtier than I thought. But you know what? I'm gonna stick with it.
Sometimes you just got to power through and pretend Anthony isn't there in the back of your mind
He
reacting
always
to it.
is, though.
Shout out to Anthony. I don't know if he listens to these or not, but hopefully he does.
We're gonna get him on here one of these days.
Now he's got a mind for world building, but like to the minutia of it all.
Yeah. All right. So I think we got everything down. Is there anything else we wanted to add to this, or we can keep going? But I just don't. I feel like we got a
technically hit the time limit. I think because we've been talking for about 30 minutes now, and we were definitely talking for more than 30 minutes before. And cool. I don't feel like there's as much to edit out this time.
Cool. All right. I think we're good then.
We should definitely do a wrap up though, because otherwise the episode will end on a weird hanging note.
All right. So again, reiterate. Space Cowboys versus Space Pirates, who are sponsored by an evil conglomerate of corporations that control the space government. And in order to fight the space conglomerate, they're going to use a mech or something of the sort that is powered by friendship. Yeah?
I like it a lot.
All right. I think
this was a lot for this one, but maybe next episode we'll go smaller.
Honestly, I'm so proud. I love this idea so much. Get ready for a t-shirt. It's just all those things just on the t-shirt.
Get ready for our merch store, folks. But yeah, that's this flavor of the week.
It's science fiction. Neat. Can be
Tune in next week.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.